Welcome to the first module of our online course in creating data stories using AI. In this module, we'll cover 4 topics. We'll first define data storytelling. We'll then introduce you to the data storytelling lifecycle. We'll also explore how and where you can use AI along that lifecycle. And last, we'll walk through the creation of your first data story using AI. Data storytelling sounds intimidating, but it's just storytelling backed by facts. It's taking something you've noticed in the numbers, for example, a trend, a shift, or a comparison, and shaping it into a story that helps your audience understand and feel something. At its core, data storytelling is built with 3 pillars. The first is insight, or something unexpected or interesting you found in the data. The second is narrative, or the context, frame, and delivery that give it structure. And the third is visualization, for example, a chart, video, or Instagram reel that brings it to life. That's it. No PhD in statistics required. Here are a couple of examples to give you a flavor for data stories published on social media. The first example is one of our own. If you're following Datapunk Media on Instagram, you may have seen it. The story here was Nikolai Ehlers had yet to be picked up in the 2025 unrestricted free agency draft, which just felt wrong. After this data story, the Hurricanes picked him up for $8.5 million. The second example is from Chart.R. They've got great examples of data stories, which typically focus on more business topics. This story lays out the highest paid CEOs, calling attention to the escalating salaries being demanded by American CEOs. Data storytelling has traditionally focused on the translation of an insight into a story. For example, many of you have likely spent countless nights creating slides or reports that translate a trend or statistic into a meaningful visualization. Remember those fun days? But in today's creator economy, this is just one part of the process. For example, the creator economy publishes content through different modalities. Creators of all stripes are increasingly looking to leverage data and predictive models. And the creator economy is still maturing, so we're mid-transition. This means more skills are required to get from one side of the lifecycle to the other. However, the AI landscape is also exploding, so it can be overwhelming to understand what tool or service to use and how effective it will be. To help you get started, here are examples of how you can use AI across each of the steps in the data storytelling lifecycle. In 5 steps, we'll walk through how you can create your first data story using AI. In the first step, we're going to use ChatGPT to help set up our outline. This will give you a place to start. There are various ways to craft a narrative, but we'll use the ABT approach. The prompt we'll use is shown here, along with the link to more details where you can copy and paste it into ChatGPT's. On the first go-round, ChatGPT returned a broad response, so we took another run at the prompt, this time getting a bit more specific. Again, you can see the follow-up prompt we used here. This time, the result is a bit better and gives us something more measurable. The second step is sourcing the data for your story. There is a ton of data you can use to compare Gretzky and Lemieux. However, we'll focus on the goals per game across their peak 5 seasons. You could use ChatGPT again to get the data for you, but we like to use Hockey Reference as it's a great website with a ton of sports data. With a bit of wrangling, we have a view with each player's 5 best scoring seasons by goals per game. The third step is analyzing the data. There isn't a lot of data, and you'll want to create something that is easily interpretable and tells its own story. So our analysis will be twofold. First, a line chart comparing the 2 players' peak years. And second, a bar chart comparing the average goals per game of their top 5 years. This will show that while Gretzky is known for his point totals, Lemieux actually had a slightly higher goals per game average across his best years. The fourth step is designing the structure of our narrative that we'll use for our social post. The ABT approach gives you the ability to create an Instagram carousel post into 3 parts. One to set the stage, the second to increase the tension, and the final to state your conclusion. We'll design the narrative across the 3 slides that will make up the Instagram carousel. The first slide introduces Wayne Gretzky as the all-time points leader, call out many of his records will never be broken, and raise the question of who, if anybody, came close to beating him. The second slide introduces Lemieux, who at his peak was a more dominant goal scorer. We'll have a comparative line chart here, and the third slide reinforces Lemieux as the more dominant goal scorer. Here, we'll add a comparative bar chart. The final step is to create the content. To create the Instagram carousel slides, we'll use our Canva templates as a starting point and customize them. If you navigate to the link on your screen, you'll find some of our starter templates for you to use. Your first data story is going to be a social post or an Instagram carousel composed of 3 slides. We typically have 3 key ingredients for our Instagram stories. The first is an AI-generated background. For this, we use Midjourney. The next are insights that we create. For this example, these are the peak year stats for Gretzky and Lemieux. And the third are images that we use to help tell the story. For sports, these might be images of athletes or logos. After you get your ingredients, it's a matter of using Canva to piece them together. For example, here's how we take one of our slides in the carousel, add images and formatted text to it, and then upload data and format a chart. Here's what the 3-slide carousel looks like when done. Now that you've created the social posts, it's time to publish them. To do this, navigate to your Instagram site, create a new post, and then upload the images into the Instagram post. You can then add a caption and post the story. And that's it. Congrats! You've now created your first data story using AI. Let's summarize the 5 steps. First, you use ChatGPT to create your narrative. Second, you source the data. Here you had the option to use ChatGPT or the hockey reference website. Third, you analyze the data. There wasn't a lot of data, so it was easy to analyze it in Microsoft Excel. Fourth, you created your narrative and the design for your story. And finally, you created the Instagram post using Canva. We've only just touched the surface for how you can use AI. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us, as we'll be posting more tutorials on how to create stories using AI.